Hello, Minion. It says this when you when you join. I don't know why it says that. I've seen that happen also when other people type. It just says this. Tomb Raider remastered. You always playing a different game. That's like such a different genre too. Hello, Dave. Hello, Kaylee. Long time no speak. All right. So, um, we're just continuing on some inks here on this. We'll see how much ink I get on the background. On this cathedral here. If it becomes like too tricky to do it on the live with the camera in my face to get all these little details, I might just do it off the live. Um, as you can see, for the people who weren't on yesterday's live because we were over on TikTok, I inked. I got some more inks in here, mainly this guy. I don't remember if this guy was inked already. We also got some inks over here. So right now I'm just putting some inks on the flying buttresses, which are these structures here. I also started some pencils for one of the other cards. So I worked a little bit on that. So if I don't get to, if I feel like I don't want to do too much inks on this on the live, I'll move over to the other card on this live. Mainly because PlayStation Plus gives out 3 free games each month. Oh, I see. Is it free games or is it like you get to keep it, like download it forever, or is it just access to 3 games? But the little chat. These controls are pretty weird as well as the crappy camera angles. Oh yeah, like 10 controls. Are you gonna do another live tomorrow? Uh, I will. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Thursday. I'll most likely be able to do a live tomorrow. I'll try my best to do one. I should be able to. We had some people over on the TikTok. They were like, "Oh, where you been?" And I'm like, "Oh, I've been doing lives on YouTube lately." Hello, Linus King. I think I'd be. I think I should do it on YouTube because, like I've been saying, I need to grow the YouTube a bit. As nice as it was to have a more full audience, um, YouTube, I feel like I kind of have like very few people at this time. But you know, if people are talking, um, I don't feel it as bad, and it's good. It kind of allows for some focused conversation. Not that I have all that much more people on TikTok. Hello, Nestle, Diana. You get to keep the games after adding it to your library. You need to either keep paying for PlayStation or buy the game. So if you cancel it, do you lose the game? Minion's talking about PlayStation. What you Xbox people don't have is the ability to keep game passes. Thank you, Gizmo. Hello, by the way. And thank you, Nashley. You can draw like that, Gizmo. It just takes a long ass time. A lot of experience and learning and practice that goes into it. But you definitely can. This is a learned skill. I don't have any like different hands than the average person. My eyes are horrible. I have terrible eyesight. I That's why I talk so much because I like depend on echolocation. Um, so if anyone ever says I talk too much, that's messed up. That's insensitive. I have a medical condition. But so it's just like if especially if you look at my old drawings or even drawings not too far back, my my human specifically like faces took me the longest to get the hang of. My faces were terrible. They were so bad. So one of the books from 20 I started in 2022. I hope to put that book out soon. Maybe later this year, and I'm going to remaster some of the faces from 2022. Uh I'm gonna scan the pages and then on Photoshop, I'm gonna redraw the faces because I've improved a bit. But yeah, it takes a long time. And you have to allow yourself that time to grow. There's certain things that I was just better at drawing at certain points in time. And looking at my old sketchbook, some of those things, uh, you know, they hold well. They don't have an expiration date like some of my monsters or, a dragon or something like that. Or a robot. Like those things can look cool for a very long time. They have a great shelf life. But like my human drawings, I look at my old sketchbooks and I'm like, yikes, like that did not age well. But here's the funny thing too, because what I used to do is I used to just throw out my old drawings that I didn't like anymore. Um, but I started keeping my old drawings when I started to decide I want to make my own comic books because I was like, hey, this is records. So if anyone ever says, hey, that looks like Helldivers, I say, no, no, look, what's this motherfucker? 2012. Look at this old crappy ass drawing I did in 2012. Um, so I kept it for my receipts, but I I softened my gaze towards them. I was like, perhaps I was too hard on you, little one, because now when I look at those old drawings, I'm like, oh, they kind of show my growth and that I didn't crawl out of the womb, drawing like this. And I always say I left my mother's womb full of cave paintings, but that's all I say, cave paintings. Like those were like stick figures, like it took a long time to develop my rendering of like how I draw things and understanding depth and things like that. Um, Not so much depth, but more so faces and some proportions and stuff. Definitely the humans took me the longest to draw. Um, but it's like that. It just takes a long time. Some things take longer for some people. Hands didn't take me that long, but faces did. But for some people, they're like faces were easy for them, but hands are the bane of their existence. So it's different for everyone what you suffer with. Some people they can't draw a horse to save their life. Some people say horses are the hardest thing. Some people say cars are the hardest thing. Hello, the rook. Okay, let me just read the comments. You get to keep the games after adding it to your library. That's awesome, actually. That's pretty cool. What if you offload it and then re-download it, like for storage? Uh, I do not lose the game, but I lose access to play the game unless I buy the game. Hmm. Will you do any other Star Wars drawings or just the one with Java? I've done a bunch of actually, I don't think I've okay, let me talk about Star Wars real quick. uh, as a kid, I drew a lot of Star Wars drawings. They look terrible. But I do plan to do more Star Wars drawings. I have a list of Star Wars drawings I want to do. I think I have some here actually. Let me flip through. I could have sworn I had some like right here. Um, and also I did an inking sample over Dave Dorman's pencils for some Star Wars art, and I did some embellishing on that. So I fixed up some little mistakes and made the stormtrooper helmets more accurate and consistent between each other. Where are those drawings? Um, so I have that as well. I just don't have a playlist made for Star Wars. But once I start making more Star Wars drawings, I will add a playlist. I could have sworn I had them here, but I don't want to waste too much time looking for it either. Oh, here they are. So here's one I did. That's like General Grievous's eye. Dirge. Um, so Arc Trooper. I thought I had another Arc Trooper, but I did have a list. I did want to draw some more Star Wars stuff, but then I got busy because then I was doing the inking samples, and then I was doing more sketch cards, and then I was doing sketch covers, and then more sketch cards, and I feel like it's just never ending work, and I do need to focus on like the actual projects at this point, like my own comics and now this card set. Pretty bad eyesight as well. Same, same Gizmo. But yeah, I would say if I could give you a nugget of advice as well, break everything down into simple forms. Don't feel too hard on yourself. If you feel like the drawings are not coming out the way you want it to and you're getting frustrated, it happens. But you have to break it into simple forms, and you have to um, accept that a drawing might not look good right now, because the way you got to say is this is not the last drawing you're going to do. You will be doing more drawings. So if it doesn't look too good, you'll get some XP points from it and then do better next time. So be kinder to yourself is what I'm saying. I need to get this little part here. Let me erase this part. There we go. What's this? Just curious. Will you do any more Star? Okay, right there. The Jabba the Hutt one was it's technically a Princess Leia one, but I added Jabba. I was instructed to draw Princess Leia in the slave bikini outfit, and I was like, I kind of want to add Jabba in there. Otherwise, it's just a pinup. So I drew the Jabba. I can draw cars. Cars is a good thing to draw, especially if you can get the dynamic feeling of the car and also a sense of fitting them in depth. Is like keeping in mind like perspective and stuff like that. How do you get subs? I need tips. Um, Hello, Damien. I'm sorry for the late response. I do read everyone's comments. If you're still here, are you asking about Instagram or TikTok or YouTube? As for Instagram, who knows? They changed their algorithm. It sucks. Instagram is trash now. But I would say as far as getting subs, I would say try to play both angles on TikTok and YouTube. Uh, as far as YouTube, I started to get my subs from my shorts. Because like I when doing long form videos and stuff like that, I've only ever done like a few, and that was like years ago. I ended up having like 30 subscribers after like almost uh like 8 years of having YouTube, but then a good part of that was not me really posting anything to it. But I ended up with 30 subscribers. Once I started posting some of my TikTok videos as shorts here on YouTube, to have more more engagement as far as like more people seeing my art, not just one platform. I started to notice people started following me, and I already had stockpiled like 1,000 videos from TikTok. So I was like, oh, I'll just you know, post on post these leftovers onto YouTube and leftovers. I'll just yeah, and in my defense, I spent a lot more than 30 seconds to a minute making those drawings. So if I could get more bang for my buck, hell yeah, those drawings spent at least an hour on those drawings. And so if I can get more eyes on it, why not? And I started getting subs on YouTube, and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." But I was focusing on TikTok. So then when I came around and I saw YouTube, I had like 2,000 subs. I was like, "That's really great." That's about how many subs I had when I started doing lives on TikTok. And then the lives is where it really started to grow on TikTok. I started getting so if I was on TikTok and I posted a video, I would probably get like a follower a video at least. And I saw that as like that was successful. Like that was worth drawing. I got a follower from that. But then I would do a live and I'd get like maybe two followers from that or one follower from that. And I was getting progress on the drawing and I was engaging with people and they would come back and learn about my projects and stuff. And eventually I started getting more followers from the lives than the actual videos. I would get like after a while, there was one point where I was consistently getting like 15 followers alive. And at that point, if one video to me was worth one follow, I'm getting 15 followers to work on my comic. And that's not even me posting anything at that point because I was just showing comic process. Um, so I was getting work done and I was getting followers and I was making content. So I was hitting like three birds with one stone. And then people were seeing it and they were like, "Whoa, what's this? Is this Star Wars? Is this G.I. Joe? Is this Helldivers?" And I'd say no, because if it was, you wouldn't be able to read those comics for free. But since this is Nadir Archives, you could read that for free. But that would be my advice, Damien. Start doing shorts. Um, pump out a bunch of shorts and stay consistent. Try to post like every day and people will keep seeing you and familiarity brings acceptance. So if they keep seeing you, they're like, "Oh, I've seen this guy before." It's not just one drawing that I thought was cool. You're not going to follow someone because they posted one cool drawing. You follow someone because you see they're posting a lot of cool drawings. And also with me, how I do it for TikTok and YouTube or whatever, when I post something, I post a series of that thing. And so like if I'm in a mood for like Warhammer, I'll draw Warhammer stuff. And then I'll draw more Warhammer stuff and more Warhammer stuff. And I just do a series like every day of like drawing that, franchise, whether it's Spider-Man or Batman or Warhammer or whatever. And people will follow me for the fandom and then some people will leave when I start drawing other stuff, but the people who came, they stayed and they followed for the fandom and they stayed for my own stuff, and that's successful. That's a good turnout. So I would get people following me like Godzilla Lover 100, Godzilla Fan 77, Ghidorah 88. So I just get a lot of followers from a specific fandom while I'm doing it, and then I kind of bait and switch. And whenever I want to try something else, or whenever my hyperfixation has shifted over to something else, then I start drawing Spider-Man stuff or Spawn stuff or whatever I'm in the mood for. But I'm at a point where I can comfortably kind of just draw my own stuff and not really have to worry too much. But now I'm on YouTube, so it's a little bit different. Because I'm kind of starting back from scratch a little bit. But not completely though, because I'm so grateful I have my loyal following uh, of people who are invested in my stories and the lives too. Um, and they're over on our Discord, which we have a link for in the bio of this so you can get updates on when I go live, where I go live, if it's on TikTok, if it's on YouTube, updates on my projects, links to my free to read stuff, links to the shop for the physical books. Um, and also, you can post your own artwork in the general art channel so you can make friends with each other, do some networking. And we just have the coolest Discord out there, I think. The coolest people. Okay. I don't think I can remove games from the library. Uh, so that's good, I guess. I guess if it doesn't take up space, right? I got a 76 on my presentation. That's not too bad. At least you passed and over a good like over the 60s. Like for me, I was always like 75 was kind of like the lowest I kind of felt comfortable with, and I was like, all right. So 76 is pretty good. Don't um I would say at least you can relax, be like it's over with. I have drawn Darth Vader and Revan. No, not Revan. I've drawn Darth Vader and Darth Nihilus. But I don't think I did those as videos though. Those might be on my Instagram. Although I have improved since then. Those were kind of just little sketches. Your art has improved so much. It looks cleaner now. uh I'm trying to think what parts I'm trying to think of like comparisons of any specific drawings that might have looked a little more. Are you talking more so like the earlier Nadir stuff like Sleepwalker? Or do you mean in like the last few months? Bloodborne drawing when? I made a whole fan comic for Bloodborne. It's pinned on my TikTok. Um it's a 9-page fan comic, and I put a lot of work into that, a lot of research. I was looking into the art of Bloodborne. I was pausing, watching other people play because I'm an Xbox boy. I don't got a PlayStation. Uh, I own the art book. I was looking into the concept art. So I think I really made something. That little short story focused on the young Yarnum girl, and I loved. I even wrote like a whole big paper and a whole project. I added it to like my college capstone project for my bachelor's degree. Um, I put a lot into that, and man, that took a lot of time. That also slowed me down away from like my own comics. Working on that, I was drawing every cobblestone brick. But yeah, um, I would like to do more Bloodborne drawings as well, but I don't think anything would top that. Like at that point, because whenever in these FromSoft games, you see an NPC, you talk to them, and then they're like, "Oh, thank you for this item you gave me. I'm gonna go head there now." And then you look at them, they're just standing there, and they're like, "Okay, they're not going anywhere." You go to another area, you come back, and they're gone. And then you find their dead body somewhere in the next area, or you find them like by a wall, and they're like, I can't continue. This wall is blocked." So they just stand there, and I love the imagination of like these these uh these NPCs. They're just like cardboard cutouts that just stand there, but they can go on these adventures that we don't get to see. And I love that imagination of that implied writing. And that's how I kind of try to write my own stories as well. I wrote this whole thing on like implied writing, like a whole thesis on it, and I broke it into 5 different branches of this umbrella, from environmental storytelling, implied wording, deliberate wording, and a whole bunch of other stuff that I don't even remember at this point. It's been like that was in like 2022. But anyways, that focuses on the little Yarnum girl who we actually don't even see in the game. So I had to design her, and I designed her based on like Victorian, outfits at the time, but also looking at her or her quote unquote sister, which I don't believe to be her sister, and her outfit as well. So yeah, my Bloodborne fan comic. It's a little short thing. Check that out. If you're going to be on our Discord, check the info channel. I should be linked, and It's on the Graveyard Comics Facebook page in the Bloodborne album, but it's also in my playlist on TikTok on Bloodborne. Okay, let's keep reading the comments. I will read everyone's comment. Hello, Eldritch. So, what's the goal of this Templar Knight faction here? Are they crusading? Do they have a leader? I'm curious if this is a fantasized version of real stuff or just your own story. So this is my own story. Basically, the overview of this series, Stain of the Forgotten, is we're focusing on this other dimension. It's not our dimension, so it's not our history, but there's dragons that have kind of came about. And so that's not natural. Dragons are not supposed to exist. So this one king, King Solomon, has been anointed and set on a crusade to slay the dragons. Some simple premise, right? They're supposed to just kill off the dragons. That's their quest. These guys are the soldiers of faith. They are part of a knight order for the church. So these guys are also following him because he was anointed. So he's kind of like a religious king. Now there will be other kingdoms as well, but and other orders. So I have showed some of the other orders last time, and I'll show you. But also, I got this new thing. Look how cool this is. This came in today. You're like, what is it? It's a little portfolio photo album kind of thing. So this is King Solomon, and there's his queen. And so here we are celebrating. So here are the king's Goosehawk. So this is another order of the Knights of Vimor. So that kingdom is the kingdom of Vimor. And these guys are kind of like the backbone of their army. Like, they're kind of like the face of Vimor. We got those pig face bassinets. And so they're kind of like the muscle. And then here are the Lancers of Vimor, and it's slaying a dwarf dragon. So these guys are kind of like elite cavalry. And I guess it's a good segue to show you the new card I'm working on. So these are some knights from the other kingdom. This is one of the other kingdoms. And these are the knights of Gryffindor. And then these are also knights from Gryffindor, but these are their holy knights. These are the holy white knights. And that's a Tatzelworm that it's slaying there. So I was drawing this one today. So maybe we might ink this later. Depending on how much I get in here, and then I'll move over to this one. So these guys are not the same, even though they're both wearing great helms. They're two different knight orders, but they have also joined allegiances on this crusade against the dragons as humanity first, right? I remember you. See, that's what I was talking about earlier. Hello, Liam. Thank you. I'm glad you remember me. Let me take a sip of my drink. And that's why I'm trying to be more present on YouTube, at least during the break, especially once I go back to work. I'm only going to be able to go live on the weekends. The best drawing I did was last night. I did last night? Did a Sith Lord and 2 Jedi in the forest. Why you put the sad face with a confused face? And that's cool. That Sith Lord taking on 2 Jedi just shows how powerful he is. Yaptron, oh yeah. Yapimus Prime. Prime don't be me. Yaptron. Okay, okay. Keep yakking, actually. Okay, okay. Okay, yes, no, the Rook Prime is one of my first ever, when we first made the Discord, the Rook was one of the first well, I can't talk. The first 3 people that inhabited the Discord. In, like, Adam and Eve terms, like, Rook was one of the first 3 keeping that Discord alive. Now we got, like are we at, like, 300 people? I think we're, like, at 300 people on the Discord. But I remember when there was only 3. So that's an OG. Yes, we want more yapping. I appreciate that, Eldritch. Okay. Nihilus is cool, yeah. I definitely would want to draw Nihilus again. Revan is cool as well. I remember playing Knights of the Old Republic, and that story was so gripping to me when I was a little middle school me. I think that was one of the first times a game story like really hooked me, where I was like, I gotta know what happens next. Like normally a show would do that, but a game had these like, I gotta know what happens next. And then I was like deprived. My parents would only give me like an hour of video game time, so me and my brother we'd share it. I'd play an hour and then he'd play an hour, and we'd be playing the same game, the same profile. And the good thing is we kind of agreed together. We both had the same kind of um creative direction for the character. So we kind of were like, we wanted to be as nice as we can. Um and we I think that made it helpful to share a character like that. Yeah, we have the OG Rook name. Sith is my favorite. Yeah, the bad guys are always more interesting. Let me get that art book. Love Bloodborne. Yeah, Bloodborne. Blood. It's just so Bloodborne is art. There's something so comforting about the art of Bloodborne, and by extension, Dark Souls. I just bought the art book for Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. It has the art from this manga and the concept drawings before the anime. It's good. It's a good inspiration. I did look it up afterwards, after you told me about it. I looked it up and I was like, oh, I have seen art for this before. But that art is really beautiful, and I think that was one of the Ghibli ones that I would definitely want to watch. I still need to watch it. I just need a place that I could watch it, and I just don't do sub. That's the thing. So I need to watch it in English for 5 years now. Has it? That was in 2022. Oh man, you're gonna make me do math on the live. Hold on, 2022, 5 years. Is that what you said? 5 years? I can't do math. It's manga. All right. Very sleepy. Go get some rest. Got to get some sleep. Gotta wet those eyeballs. Like, should be sleeping. You should all get some rest. Gizmo out here. Are these dragons eldritch monsters from another dimension, or maybe enemies that have just awoken? Are they demons? Oh wow! If you don't want to say, that's fine too. I'm not gonna say, because I will say you kind of got into the ballpark a little bit. So I'm not gonna talk too much about it. I will say, um, I do like your thought process then, because yeah, they're not animals. The dragons are not animals. So it's not just like, wow, that's so messed up. They're poachers. They're just killing these animals living peacefully. The dragons are not. They're not animals. They're intelligent. They're they don't belong in this world, and they weren't supposed to be here. It's not something that was supposed to happen. So this is effectively a tainted world, because it has now deviated from, basically, how if I'm gonna use Marvel terms, how the TVA has like a perfect timeline. This is kind of like it's diverged from the timeline. Like it's not supposed to happen. Like this is a messed up world. And happy early birthday, Minion. Wow, everyone's so young, making me feel old. I'm like, damn. Yeah, like 12, 13. Don't treat it like another day. Celebrate it. Youngin over here. I remember when weren't you the youngest of the three of the OG three? Is there political strife between the kingdoms, or are they working together well against the threat? For the most part, they're working pretty well. You know, it's like I'm sure they would have their differences on certain things. Again, there's certain things that I'm also not up to yet, so I kind of don't want to trip on my toes and give the story away either. At least before the project even starts, you know. I think at one point, once the project starts and people will have like cards, and the cards will kind of be like you might get the very last card first, you know, and a handful of cards in like random order. And so it's kind of like archiving history is and I'm kind of treating it almost like archaeology in that sense that, you know, you want to know what happens next. And so you can go in to our Discord with other people who have those cards and be like, did anyone else have these cards? You know, I have cards 6, 7, 8. You know, does anyone have the first or second or third card? And so I imagine it's gonna be like wildfire once those cards kind of first drop. And if we just get two people talking, that would be like, you know, maybe close to like 18, 16 type of amount, maybe. Assuming maybe some of them got some doubles between the two people. But, you know, I think people kind of finishing the story or talking to each other with the story, I think is going to be a very interesting collaborative experiment. Treating it like an archival, um, you know, simulation in a way. Okay. Where's Anakin when we need him? Okay, for me it is 1:20 a.m. at this time. How was Eve? The music of Bloodborne tickles my brain. Right now we're listening to a mix from the Souls series. I'm listening to a playlist called Chilling Souls. Eldritch is invested. Yes, where's the music from? The music from Monday. I don't even remember what I was listening to on Monday. What was that? I just love lore. Yes, then you'll love me. Wait till I get a load of me. But more so I have other stories. Um and I do that with every story, you know, and different my different universes and stuff, whether it's Dead Liberty, whether it's Nadir Archives, whether it's Stain of the Forgotten. And we do have a section in the Discord, Graveyard Discourse, where people can talk about, you know, hey, I found this in that story. Does anyone know what this means? You know, is this like, I don't know, or you know, just people talking about stuff because I do put like Easter eggs and things and mysteries and um there will be more to come with everything that I've made. It's a lot deeper. I even have a little mark of distinction for people that I see actively talking about my stories and finding Easter eggs and stuff like that. And then I christen them as the um as a scholar, and so their username changes to a gray color. I love building detail for my Pathfinder campaign and digging into Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Warhammer 40k rabbit holes and stuff like that and stuff. And I don't get bored with reading and making lore. Yes, okay, yes. If you haven't read Nadir, I'd love to hear your thoughts when if you get around to reading some of that. It was on their lore. Okay. I haven't made any progress on my comic in this forever. Always trying to make drawings, but I never finished them either. I think maybe that's how you should start with that exercise of at least finishing a drawing first. Um, and I find the easiest way to finish a drawing to be like just again simple forms, like the simple body of like a little mannequin person, and then you can start layering armor because or clothes or whatever. Because if otherwise it sometimes you might feel like it's a little daunting, or if you need to erase something, you're like attached to it, or like I spent so much time on it. I've gotten to a point in improvement that some of my old art, some of my old designs, I will not continue to draw or finish them. And so some of them I didn't finish, they still have like no arms or legs. And I'm just like at that point I don't want to touch it because I feel like this is a time capsule now because it's like been over like 10 years have passed on some of those drawings I was looking at today. And I was like, I'll just leave it alone. I'll have to redraw the character on another paper. Okay. Did you know Darth Revan and Darth Malak? I think it was. Uh, Kai's draw. Yeah, I remember. Oh, King Darth Revan. Yeah, he like slapped his face off. I was like, that was so metal. I was like, no way, that's crazy. Yeah, Minions art is very impressive. Yeah, no, you're not alone. You're not alone with hating your old art. But it's definitely not awful. It's important, It's like looking at baby pictures, You look at it and you might be like, "Oh, my parents like did me dirty with that haircut." But at the same time, it's like you didn't come out of the womb fully grown, Unless you were a dragon. But if you look at the old baby pictures, you need it. You need it to get to that point to become who you are now, and it's just a natural course, and you just develop. And also, it's something that like you can show people like as like inspiration or it's like this is not AI. This is something that you developed into, that you perfected, that you went on this journey. You weren't just talented. You practiced the skill, you learned, you prioritized it, and you improved. You earned it. You know, you earned whatever compliments you get. If people were like, "Oh, that's awesome," sometimes you probably you hear it a lot or whatever, but you earn that. And that's an amazing thing that people are complimenting you. Some people don't like when people see their artwork and talk or whatever, but it's something that you earned, and that's a great thing that people are showing interest in your work and want to talk to you about it. Haven't drawn in a week. Feel like a failure. Don't feel like a failure. You are still sponging in experiences and interests. You're playing all these video games, so you're getting ideas of world building and character, interactions, everything you experience, life, walking outside, talking to a friend. getting into a argument with someone, playing a video game, watching a movie. So even if you didn't draw, you know, um, just living life will help you, you know, as an artist, because that's what you're pulling from. That's what you're drawing from, you know, and it's all very sincere. You're not a machine that's just scanning the internet and putting out trash. You're drawing from every experience you've had, and you're kind of seeing, what are you comfortable sharing? What if you take something and change it? What if you apply some creativity to the presentation of this thing that you only you experienced? And maybe you can exaggerate it. Maybe someone pissed you off, and you're like, "Oh, this is my boss. This character is my boss." But I changed him a little bit. I made him even more evil or whatever. Pick up that pencil minion. But here's the other thing. That's in the early stages. If you were actively working on a project, uh, let's say you're being commissioned. Let's say you're working on in comics, or you're working on something with a publisher. For example, I'm working with Dynamite Comics. I'm working on doing sketch covers with them. I'm doing trading card sketch cards and sketch covers. If I don't draw for a week, now that's a problem, because now I have a week less to work on that project, and the deadline has not moved. And if I don't put out the cards, I can or the covers or whatever, whoever ordered those things end up, it looks bad on the company, and it looks bad on yourself, because then the company's not going to want to work with you if you can't keep up with the deadlines. And so I will say, if you want to do art professionally, it is something that, with love, with some tough love, you got to snap out of that. Like, you can't just sit there and not draw. Right now, while you're young, while you're a kid, you can enjoy it. So, don't be too hard on yourself. But if you're in the business and you're putting out a project, whether even if it's your own project, if it's your own comic, and there's people expecting a product, you have to work, you know and that's the tough love. That's the reality. And here's also the sad thing is, if it's your own comic and you're not putting your time into it, what that tells the reader is that, oh, well, if the creator didn't even care to work on it, then why should I care to read it? But also, they'll lose interest. People lose interest so fast, and then the next thing that's going viral comes out. The next Invincible season comes out. The next Absolute Batman drops, and you lost it. You lost the two people that was reading your shit. They lost them. So you gotta be on that. You gotta be always working on your project, whatever it is. If you're doing it professionally, and it's a sacrifice. And it's no guarantee that you're gonna make a lot of money. So that's the tough love part as well. You're also going to have to be juggling a regular job for money, and you have to do it all. But so there's nothing wrong with doing art as a passion. But if you're trying to do art professionally, that's when I change my advice a little bit. I go into Coach Jake, I go into tough love. And it sounds scary, but if you love it enough, if this is, you got one life, do you want to spend your whole life sitting at a table drawing? Or are you built for this? Are you going to live life thinking to yourself, I'm not living my life to my fullest if I don't put out this story? I've had people tell me, Jake, you're going to be on your deathbed and you're going to wish you traveled the world. You're going to wish you went here. You're going to wish you went there. And I'm like, you don't know me, brother. I will be like, bro, I've designed flying castles and dragons and spaceships and aliens. There's nothing in this world. Maybe I just sound like a naive young person, but I feel like I'd be on my deathbed. You know what I'd be thinking? I wish I got to the next page. I wish I got to finish that series. There's just, people have different callings. Everyone has a different calling, and so if I didn't scare you away with how demanding the art is, if you just want money, then Burger King gives you a good salary, like every week. I think it's weekly you get paid. With the art stuff, you don't know when you're getting paid. So if you're flipping burgers, you're gonna make more money than the comic books and stuff like that. And that's something you have to accept for the time. Hopefully you can make money off the artwork, and you can find different ways to sell prints and commissions and conventions and stuff like that. But the most important thing that I'm getting at is you have to do it because you love it. Because this world is empty without your story in it. And when you watch someone else's story, when you play the next Dark Souls game, when you watch the next Marvel movie, and you sit there and you're like, "Oh, I had an idea just like that," and no one will ever know because you never put that story out, and you just sit there and you're like, you know, I had this cool idea. It could have been cool. And I think that's the scariest thing for me, to give up on it and see someone else do it before me, and know that I'm never gonna have my interpretation of it. So, you know, that's just things to consider. If you just like to draw, that's the other thing. You don't have to write. You could still like work for these other publishers that need an artist. So maybe that's a different conversation. But as far as like on the writing half and the world building half, and creating your own thing, I think it's a hunger. I think it's an insatiable thirst to create and put out this expression of all the things that you believe in, that you think about, that you enjoy, that you're scared of, or that you want to make someone else feel something, uncomfortable, scared, love, wholesome. There's so much control that you can, a couple lines on paper, and I can transfer that into you, the viewer who sees like that drawing. You like, maybe it makes you want to draw, maybe it makes you scared, maybe it makes you angry. You're like, how could they kill that poor dragon? Get like Dragon PETA over here. um so yeah, so there's my little TED talk, my little rant, my little um yeah, my little speech. Okay, where was I? Reading the comments. Digital pen. That's good that you like the digital pens though. I especially like some people find it like really hard to go from like traditional to digital. Hop off the tablet or draw on the tablet. But here's the other thing, Minion. It's also too, where everyone else who's listening too, a matter of prioritizing, and managing time management. Set alarm clocks if you have to. For me, I've been wanting to play Heretic. I've just been really enjoying playing Heretic. I wanted to play it yesterday, but you know what I had to do yesterday? I had to finish the cards I was working on. I wanted to finish all the Bumble cards, and I did. And then I didn't have time to watch to play Heretic. I also had to work out, and I did. So that's the other thing. There's things that you have to keep in mind, that of importance. So I really would have liked to play, but I feel like also it's really important. I'm a huge advocate for exercise as an artist. Maybe I should make that like a movement if it's not a thing already. Artists build muscles and draw muscles. But in all seriousness, I think a lot of artists, we just sit here and we just draw for hours at a time. We don't get enough exercise. We don't get our 10,000 steps. We have to fit exercise into our schedule. You are an art making machine. So you got to make sure that machine is well oiled. Spring break has me lazy. Well, maybe just see it as you're resting. Still on spring break? Yeah, we're on spring break. So, um, like for the high schools and stuff, they have spring break this week, and for college, we had spring break last week and this week. So college, you get two weeks off. Online school, so it's a bit later. I don't have it. Mine's over. Yeah, I heard some people had it a week earlier than the kids here. Should I try to do a new drawing? I'm thinking of doing a huge ass battle. I don't know what though. Maybe grab a piece of paper and write down all the things you want to put into it. So that way, when you get into it, you have like a checklist of things you want to do. Baby pictures. The fact that we're talking about baby pictures gives me an idea how far up I am on these comments. Um, this little child, that child died long ago. You didn't come out the womb fully grown. uh Eldritch is looking like a potential scholar over here. We might give Eldritch the scholar rank at some point. Y'all talking about art? Kill my art mood. Okay, okay. Reading the comments, trying to work my way down. I mainly draw creatures, but I also have an unfinished war drawing. Ah, is that a fantasy war drawing? Usually draw cars or ghosts. Ghosts. That's such an interesting combination. Cars and ghosts. What about Ghost Rider? Right now, I'm trying to work on arm anatomy. I will say this. Don't get jealous. Yes, when someone is better at you, some artists take more time to improve than others. And like a wise man told me, talent will only get you so far. Yes, absolutely. And also, I will say, if you look at someone who is really, experienced and you're like, wow, that guy's. This is why I quit drawing. Too many tryhards. The too many sweats. You got to look at that and say they're not hacking unless they're using AI. They're not hacking. That person worked their ass off to get there. It's not just talent too, because look at his baby drawings. That shit was terrible. So, um, look at it and say that's humanly possible. Oh hell yeah, I can do that at some point. Let me study that person's work. Oh wow, the way they play with shadows really makes their artwork feel more solid. Um, and or I love the way that person uses paint. I don't paint, but the way they apply color, maybe I can apply that to my work. And there's so much that you can do with your artwork and being inspired by other artists and stuff like that. I wish I could draw cars. Uh, I would say you definitely need references of cars as well, especially as you're starting out. Learn the anatomy of a car. Know what a car needs. Like wheels. Doors. Uh, Rearview mirrors, and then think about the proportions of it. Like how big would the wheels look to the car? If you draw them too big, did you mean to draw a monster truck? Okay, it's not that easy. What's not that easy? I used to make stick cars. That sounds cool. I wish I could draw hair. Hair. Okay, so look, tip for hair. When you're drawing hair, think about the tufts of the hair. Think about the hair kind of in clumps. Um, and then you can add lines of where the hairs kind of meet. I just restocked on index cards, so I can kind of do a quick little demo here. So let's say we have a character. Let's say we got a head here, right? All right, that'll work. And so when we do our hair, I say draw the head first, so you know where the hair is kind of growing from, and think about like where the hairline is. How it's gonna kind of go around. And so a little trick on the hairline, think it's your forehead, right? So if you have your character put their hand on their forehead, their four fingers should be about the width of your character's forehead to the hairline. So forehead, four fingers. You could throw it back a little bit if you want to push his hairline to like the 15th century or something. You can do it, but just a general rule if you want to keep it simple, and have where you can have the hair kind of growing from. See, or you give him a widow's peak. We could go in there, give him that Bruce Willis over here. You could do that too. But if you're doing a character with like longer hair, I think it's still good to know where the hairline is if you're gonna give them bangs, because now you know where to start the bangs. So uh then you can kind of bring the hair off the top of the head. Maybe we got a little tuff there. Maybe come down. And then once you have that, you can also erase parts of the scalp. because the hair is sitting on top of it. And then you can do some lines that are kind of going in the direction of the hair. You can have some loose hairs kind of coming off. And then you can think about different hairstyles, if it's short hair, curly hair, but that's kind of just maybe I could have some hair kind of going back here. I don't know, I'm just making a mess, but just hair physics. I hope that was helpful. Then I worked up to more detail. So you started with stick cars and then you got more detailed. Yes, it's a process. So they're hard not to get jealous. Transfer that jealous. You can't not get jealous, then let it come in as jealousy and use spite to transform it into inspiration. Make it like an end goal. I'm gonna draw like that person. Hard time drawing certain stuff I just drew. Uh, Usually just doodle. I have a drawing tutorial playlist if you want to check it out. All right, Minions got you. Okay. Uh, a weird in between in this audience. Chill, man. That's funny. Okay. How am I catching strays? Goodbye, Gizmo. I didn't get to see goodbye. Oh man, that's the thing. On TikTok, the mods can like pin the comment, and then I always say like if someone's leaving, mods pin that so I can say bye to that person because I'll just be talking. Oh man, they need to add that to YouTube. I didn't get to say goodbye. What about me? What's my rank? Uh, go read those comics, become an expert, or not even an expert. Just seeing a lot of people reading the comics, will get them the scholar rank. And also, if there's also the Reaper mark of distinction. Those are people I make them the Reaper for the peoples who share my work to other people, bring in more people, and they're like, "Yo, this is my friend. I told him about you, and now he loves your comics." Now I make that person a Reaper because they're reaping souls into the graveyard. So that's over on the Graveyard Comics Discord. I'm just that much more concerned. Considered a nerd, but just that much more considered a nerd. Is that what it does? It makes you it's like, oh, that person's knowledgeable in my stories. You gotta be like, oh, I'm not just on a bandwagon, I was reading, I told you this shit was good. I didn't wait for some influencer to tell me that it was a good drawing, a good story. Okay. Hey, maybe it's a bad story. Someone read and find out. Come back and be like, I read it. That shit was buns. Or read it and be like, I get it now. Come back, change. It's like, Jake, you ruined comics for me. I can't read comic books anymore. Now I feel like everything is repetitive. Every comic I read, I feel like there's no weight to it because it's either just a comic that already exists, just different, or they're just gonna change it. I feel like there's no weight. Every character death, they're gonna bring them back. I'm tired of the same thing. Tired. Maybe. Hmm. You should do extensive research on Jake's comics and drawings. At this point, too, I'm also just giving out. I'm desperate. I'm giving out the scholars anyone who's even just like reading everything and just like, yeah, I love it. I'm very vocal about reading my stuff. Okay. Yes, the Matt Pat for a long time. The Matt Pat of Graveyard Comics. Project Moon OCs and abnormalities. I can't talk today. Mixture of human and monsters. And that sounds fun. Suggested the role to Jake. Yes, thank you. That what's it called? The what's the word I'm looking for? The feedback, is that the word I'm looking for? Interactive feedback. There's a specific hairstyle I want to learn from. I don't know what it is. You look up the original Vampire Hunter D art. Where it's like holding that girl, all those lines in the hair on the girl's hair. I think his hair is probably really long too. That's like a very straight hair. I think that would apply for the same thing for the most part. Think of the general shape of the hair. Think of where the hair is starting from, the roots of the hair, and think of the flow of the hair. We should have a new role, but I don't know what it would be. Then we probably don't. Oh, okay. Probably for people who draw monsters. Uh, I don't know. I feel like I don't want to make too many roles if they don't serve like a function. Also, the roles don't really give me a wide range of colors, which is unfortunate because it's like it makes it really hard after a while to distinguish uh shades of color from each other. It's like, oh, light green and dark green. Like if you look at my name, it probably looks just like the regular mod green, but it's actually a darker shade of green. Okay. Scroll faster. I'm working my way down. I wish they put a timestamp on your guys' comments so I can see how long ago this was. I was thinking of more of a role for people who make OCs based on. Okay, see that's actually interesting. That makes more sense to have a role for that. I think at this point I've just made that a scholar role. But example, again, I wish they gave me more colors for the people's names, because then it's just harder to tell them apart. I get a free rank. Hey, reading the comics free. Okay. Should I agree? We'll see. Like a 10. Forgot it? Like a 10v10. I have a picture of Jake drawing himself. Do I have a picture of that? Remember when I measure an entity in your comics? Measure an entity in your comics. Are you talking about Sleepwalker? Okay. Hairstyle of D himself. Okay, so D's hair. I mean, I've reached the bottom. When I scrolled, it was like, it kind of went up. It was like hitting the bottom of a treasure chest when you're digging. Okay. Guitar fell over. Is it okay? Hello, Swift. Teach you Discord. Discord is so confusing. Okay, reading comics. Comments. I access the comics in your YouTube description. I don't know. I mean, you're on the Discord, so if you go in the info channel, the links should be there. I don't it's Nadir Archives. If you hit that link, let me know if it'll take you to the Facebook page or the TikTok. Hello, minion from the present time. Yes, I've entered the present. The time traveler from the past. Time dilation. I love Sleepwalker. Thank you so much, Sam. Let everyone know that. Let everyone know. Okay. What's your favorite Star Wars era? Mine's the Old Republic. Did a lot of drawings of Sith Lords in there for some reason. Yeah, maybe because it's your favorite. I gotta say, I think the Clone Wars is my favorite. I do really like the Galactic Civil, but Clone Wars, I was playing that shit on the old original Star Wars Battlefront. Original Star Wars Battlefront, the original Star Wars Battlefront 2. And I love the battle droids. I love the clones. I love the show. I remember when the show, you guys are probably too young, but there was a time when Star Wars was finished. There was no content coming out. There was a content drought. Not even a drought. It was done. It was a closed story. I remember the dark times before the sequels, before the shows, before the Clone Wars. I was there. I was OG. I remember. Um, and I remember seeing the toys. They would make a toy for any character, and it's like, who's this guy? It was like, oh, he's one background character in Jabba's palace. He got a whole action figure. It's like detailed as shit too. I remember just one day I was just watching TV and then I heard the Star Wars music. I was like depraved for Star Wars content too. I was like, what's that? And then it was like Star Wars, and I was like, what's happening? A new toy line? And then it was like a trailer for this movie, The Clone Wars. I was like, is that Shak T? It was Ahsoka. We didn't know who Ahsoka was back then. And then everything blew up. Star Wars was back. It was on the Clone Wars. They continued the show. It got better. It got darker. It kept going on. We ended up it sold. You got the sequels. You got Rebels. Clone Wars came back. The new Star Wars Battlefront game came out, and it was just like super detailed. I'm like, holy shit! It was amazing. The graphics. Yeah, I used to play. The older Battlefront. Hours of my time. I was always playing that. When I upgraded to the Xbox 360, I was still playing the old OG one. I served on the front lines of Battlefront. And for me, that was like eventually, okay, on the darker side of things, I ended up getting tired of Star Wars as time went on. I didn't know it could happen. I started getting tired of Star Wars. I was just like, the shows were kind of just, I don't want to say mid. I forgot what my generation used to say. But the shows were kind of you know, kind of bland, kind of not there, and I got tired of it. I got tired of hearing people arguing. I wasn't as invented in the sequels. I did like the sequel armor, the stormtroopers, the new stormtroopers, clean. Like that's what I imagine a upgraded stormtrooper to look like. That looked like a PS5 versus like a PS4. Like it looked like the next evolution. The Sith troopers, cool. Darth Revan. I mean, Kylo Ren, cool. Like the music, cool. The trailer, I was hyped. And then The Last Jedi, that movie, I was so excited for it. And then it ended up just being like the course of like a couple of hours. And I'm like, that's it. This could have been an episode. Like this could have been an email. Like this didn't have to be a whole movie. I'm like, when I want a movie, I want it to feel like a grand scale, not something that just took place in one day. You know what I mean? So I was so disappointed. And then I was like, they fucked it. I remember sitting there in theaters and I'm like, oh, we're gonna learn who Ray is? Please don't fuck me right now. You better tell me. I've been wondering. Oh, don't even tell me. I dropped my pen. I waited when the Force Awakens came out. I waited to see Mark Hamill. I was like, oh, when's he gonna come? When's Mark Hamill gonna come? When's Luke? My boy Luke Skywalker. And then when we saw it, I was like, please don't end. Don't tell me this is how it ends. I want this to be like a 5-hour long movie. Please, please, let there be another hour. Hell, I'll take 30 minutes. End credits? No. I was so angry. And there was so many decisions I didn't like. And then Book of Boba Fett, I was like, all right, baby, we're back in business. Boba Fett, Tamora Morrison can read me a bedtime story. I love that man's voice. I love it. And then I don't know what happened to the show. I watched it, but like he was just walking around. I was like, dude, put your helmet back on, first of all. Second of all, it's just like, what's happening? What's happening to Star Wars? And I just got like unexcited for a lot of the things. Um, and I was really big into Halo, and I was like, you know what? Maybe Star Wars maybe actually is for kids. Maybe it's not for me anymore. You know, maybe Star Wars just outgrew it. Maybe Halo will be my new Star Wars. And then I was playing Halo on the Xbox, and then I saw I had access to Star Wars Battlefront, the newer one. And I was like, I started playing it. I wanted to play it since it came out in 2016, like 10 years later. I'm playing it, and I'm like, oh shit, it's great. It's awesome. Everything's exploding. I felt like a kid again. I fell in love with Star Wars. It was like Star Wars heard me saying that I think Halo's my new Star Wars. It was like Star Wars heard and it came back. The Force, it sensed the disturbance and it was like, nah, bitch, you come back to me. And then I was like, wow. Like I forgot this is what Star Wars was for me. The front lines, none of these weird ass planets with these goofy ass plot lines. Front lines, me against these Terminator battle droids, and that was Star Wars. That shit was like Warhammer as far as I was concerned. And then I was like, you know what? I watched like some of the Clone Wars. I didn't finish all of it. My friend spoiled a whole bunch of it. So I was like, I was like, you know what? I only live once. I'm excited for Star Wars again. Let me watch it. If I would be on my deathbed not finishing the Clone Wars. That kind of sounds unfortunate. You know, like what if I get hit by a truck and I didn't get to finish Clone Wars? Let me watch it. And so I watched all of it and I was like, this is really good. It still holds up. I was like, especially as it got darker towards the end, I was like, man, I'm I forgot there was like why I loved Star Wars. I almost got embarrassed to like Star Wars at one point. I was doing a character workshop that I was invited to help, and so I was a guest at this thing, and the interns were there, and they were doing character design, and the teacher that was hosting it, I consider her my mentor. She when she was announcing my work, she said I was inspired by Star Wars, and I was like, "Ugh," like that felt weird. But then that was like later that summer was when I got like really big into Star Wars again. I was like, man, I was almost embarrassed. I was a Star Wars fan when no one was a Star Wars fan. I was a Star Wars fan when you know, uh when like it was embarrassing. I remember in middle school, but then at a certain point, everyone loved Star Wars. Like when I was in high school and on, when the Star Wars boom hit, everyone started liking Star Wars. But yeah, that's um, I'm curious. Uh, Okay, let me keep reading. Let me read these comments. Darth Vader reference, yes. I'm glad you got that. Okay, okay. Let me keep reading. Where did I leave off? Okay. Okay. Yes, and Eldritch, let me know what you think of that. I would love to hear your thoughts. Not used to the YouTube lives. This feels weird. I know it was weird. And then when I went back to TikTok lives yesterday, I was like, oh, they changed it. It looks weird. The text is bigger. Sent you an image on how to get more colors. Is that one of those things you have to pay for? That nitro thing? I'm just glad I know how to read Arbrush. Very slowly though. What's Arbrush? Do I know what that is? Clone Wars was my kid show. The sequels, ask my opinion. I feel like they're just there. It's just content. It's just pretty to look at, but no real substance. I don't want to. It doesn't make me want to know more about the world, really, aside from the stormtroopers. But then it was also just very repetitive. It didn't want to do anything too new. Unfortunately, I like the Mando show though. A lot of weird cartoons like The Last Unicorn. I heard about The Last Unicorn. Is that good? Love season 4. Confusing. Confusing. And welcome back, Gizmo. Okay. I go Arc Trooper lives. Fives. I loved Fives. I liked Echo. I can't remember. I think I liked Echo more. And then you had Bad Batch. Bad Batch was okay. It was okay. I would have liked it to be something else though. Kluber shit farm. Best moisture farmer. Tatooine. Would you ever sell physical copies of the comic books on a Comic Con? Uh, like way out in the future. Speaking, probably. I love the idea of that. I always wanted to have at least a volume done before I did that though. Um, but it's just been taking me so long to work on, to finish any comics and get the stuff out. And as far as Dead Liberty goes, I wanted to get issue 0 through 6. I'm currently on issue 5, and I'm like maybe halfway with drawing 5. But then I went and started working on the Nadir series because I wanted to put out a free to read series. So I kind of went cold turkey right into that other comic series, and that was like in 2022. So I'm definitely gonna need to do some remastering on 2022 art for um, Dead Liberty when I return to work on that because the me now that's drawing in 2026 on 2022 art, um, I also hit like a huge improvement. Notice like improvement. I hit a huge improvement spike on my work over the last like summer. Like hit a spike of just improvement. I read a book and like I grew an extra wrinkle on my brain. If anyone's wondering what that book was, that was How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, which was recommended to me by Mariano Nicieza. Okay, okay. Uh, I just draw creatures and have terrible dreams. What is Jake blabbering about? Babbling about Star Wars? Darth Vader reference? Star Wars, Fortnite? Are you deaf? Okay, be nice. The new Star Wars shows. Love taking helmets off. Everything loves taking helmets off. Look, I'm gonna keep my helmets on. My characters are fighting. They're gonna keep their helmets on. I had one person. I was drawing something for Nadir, and I had the characters with their helmets on. And he was like, "Do you ever draw characters without helmets?" And I'm like, in the beginning of the issue, before they go on the mission or whatever, for this comic anyway, for that series, because those are short stories. But definitely in the Dead Liberty series, we definitely see them take their helmets a lot more because that one is a more linear story following like a team of characters. So we get to see them on their downtime a little bit more than Nadir, which Nadir is following a different group of characters every issue. Um, and so he was like, "You should draw characters without helmets," you know? He was like, "You should draw characters without helmets." And I'm like, if I do that, if I have a character stupidly just taking their helmet off, I'm gonna have them get sniped. I'm gonna have their brains splattered all over. For anyone who keeps saying, "Oh, you should draw you always draw characters with helmets on." I'm gonna have one character with no helmet and show why that my characters with helmets. I will blow their brains out in the drawing. FBI, I'm talking about drawings. It's like, look at this guy. Main character over here, right? He would have had to had the helmet get knocked off or something like that, but he didn't like roll up with no helmet, to that in the Nadir series. Oh no. It's just like boom. Exit wound. Ah. Somebody get the acetaminophen. The new mall show is good, I will say. I kind of want to. I feel like I can jump into it because I watched all the Clone Wars stuff. So now I'm like, okay, fine. I guess I'll just jump into it. That would have been perfect if it dropped like last summer, the summer that just passed, because that's when I like finished watching the Clone Wars stuff. Yes, Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni is like, I put all my trust in him. Bored? You bored, Gizmo? I have a comic book that's free to read. I've cured boredom. Go read it. Star Wars keeps playing with your love. I know. And the quantum happenings in the universe, plus consulting the living incarnations of causality. Talking about Fortnite. I mean, Star Wars had Fortnite. They had the Fortnite stuff. I showed one of friends Star Wars Old Republic trailers. Oh, those trailers were high budget, and now they love Star Wars. That's awesome. Brought someone into the fold. See, if that was Graveyard Comics, you would have been a Reaper. But Disney, they won't do that. I'm kidding. Okay. Alrighty. You just have to stare into the abyss. And when it stares back, it'll tell you things. Yes. What, for drawing monsters? Uh okay. Read the comments. Okay. 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 I mean the comments. Not a nitro thing. Okay. Uh I do have physical copies as well, but that is a different universe than the free to read one. The free to read one is I call that the cosmic timeline. The I When I finish section 6 part 3, which is the third of section 6, that one's a 3-part anthology. I will put out a collected edition called Nadir Archives Volume 1. It'll have Sleepwalker, Silver Cord, Operation Judas, and section 6 parts 1 through 3. And that'll be a physical collected book. And when that volume drops, for the first 100 people that buy it, I have made a bunch of I made 100 certificates, recount drawings. I think I've showed those before, but I'll show it again. Look at these bad boys, just waiting for. I doubt we'll sell 100, but I made them. So 17 of 100 single. And this is like business card size. And I drew these with Sharpie because these are recounts. So I got the idea because I was like, I saw like conventions, comic book artists, sometimes they sign and then they draw a recount, which is just a quick Sharpie drawing or, quick, simple drawing. Although I did spend some time doing these. And since I can't actively sign people's books and stuff like that, I was like, this would be kind of cool. Like a little external signature, a little external sketch. I think that'd be cool. So yeah, first 100 people to buy that. If you're like, oh, why would I want to buy that? I could read it for free. Well, one, it'll be remastered. I'll be remastering some of the faces from 2022. Anything that I felt like I didn't really like the way the faces look from the older anthologies, I'll do that. And also, you get one of those free cards if you're one of the first 100 people. And for Dead Liberty, I also have Dead Liberty issues 0 through 4, and also Blood Hunt, which is a companion series to Dead Liberty. I need to make Blood Hunt a Kindle ebook. All the Dead Liberty books that are out so far are also on Kindle ebook. There's a shop section in the Discord. I have merch in there. I have the books. And this is how you know I'm a terrible salesman. I'm a terrible businessman because I never talk about the shop. I never talk about the merch. I don't know. I feel like I'm soliciting on my own platforms, which I should be advertising a lot more. I feel like Prime was about to say yes. Okay. Is the language okay? Is the language shown in Star Wars? And write down whole books and essays in the font. That's funny. Oh, it says watch The Last Unicorn for the art, for the story, which I think probably has lore set in the older myths. It's too weird just to be randomly weird. Very interesting. Okay, I'll have to give that a watch. Nadir. Okay. Like a horse. Okay. What's vile? That would be an awesome scene. A dude takes his helmet off, ambushed by archers. Yes, that could work for the medieval thing too. Some guy takes his helmet off, a spooky skeleton just like hits him with an arrow. He's just dead. I love it. So it can work for the medieval comic as well. Make it as tragic as exactly. Yes. Free Sharpie paper. Yeah, you could get a whiff out of that. I smelt the Sharpie when I opened that container. You're still alive. Hello, Real Spider-Man Webs. I will be ending soon. My battery's dying. It's past 2, and I do have to get back to work on the next character that's been approved for the cards with Dynamite Comics. Okay. It told me not to buy his books last live. It sounds like something I would say. Hello, Mackenzie. I thought I was just gonna make it. Wasn't gonna make it to your live. You made it enough to say hello. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Let's end. Maybe let's end. Let's get maybe 10 more minutes. Let's end. Or a little less. 2:20. Let's end at 2:20, and I'll try to get as much ink in here as possible in that time. But if you have any questions about like where you can read my comics, where you can buy some comics, anything about the merch, you know how they say don't get high on your own supply? Dude, I'm in heaven. Like I'm out of this world. Like I got like the Dead Liberty phone cases. Even my old phone has a Dead Liberty phone case. That my old broken phone. Where is it? I thought I had it here. Ah, it's somewhere. Where'd that phone go? I have like a little Dead Liberty bag that's somewhere. I have like pins and stuff. What character are you most emotionally attached to in this comic so far? Okay, so not counting my other ones. Thank you for helping me narrow it. There's one character who is not born yet at this time, but in this series, I feel very like I wrote that character, and it's just very complex morally, and just like tragic. I wrote it like a tragedy, and I find that character really fun to write, very interesting. But I don't want to talk about him because he's in the comic, and this is the card set, so he's not going to appear in the card set. But if we're talking about the card set specifically, I guess I would say King Solomon is kind of interesting to me, and originally I didn't make King Solomon just for the card set. King Solomon was always part of the story. So I've always kind of liked his character as well. And so, giving him some spotlight and, getting to see his story and the things going on at this time. Does the bird have a name? that's that's the dove. Um I let me think cuz I didn't intend for it to be the same bird in every time that we've seen it. Um More so symbolic. And one of the other ones I have a couple of them flying. Um but how do I describe it? Let me not talk about it. I'll leave the bird up. Let's see if I'm curious if anyone ever figures out the symbolism of the bird. So I'll leave that to the scholars to find out the symbolism of the doves. I think I've spoken enough about it that people could probably figure it out. I'm very curious. Okay. Adam and Eve roll. You got the ultra unk status. Okay. I'm just reading the comments. I do say one of Jake's favorite characters in his comics is Wraith from Dead Liberty. Yes, Wraith is one of my favorites writing. He was my favorite when I was like first writing my stuff. He became like my favorite. And then in 2016 when I started writing Blood Hunt, there was another character called Deadcast, and I really started liking him too. So those two were fighting for my love, Wraith and Deadcast. Yes, Wraith's still alive. Now, for Dead Liberty, that's like a superhero war comic. So it's a superhero comic, but it's a war comic first. No, non OGs. What does it take for non OGs to get that role? That's so funny. I always like shift the bar of what I consider OG. Like OG was originally like the first three, then it became like the first people, anyone who was there in 2022, and I think the next bar will be, the foreseeable future, as I'm kind of now in the pond with big fish, as I've been working with Dynamite Comics, and who knows who I'll meet, or you know what ends up happening as far as my my work, and if I end up on a bigger project or something, I'll shift the bar of like OG, and it's like, oh, OG, the ultimate OG will be when anyone who's been watching me on the lives and didn't know me from any of the comic stuff, like if I get bigger in comics with Dynamite, other publishers, or anything like that. Off topic, but my teacher literally has like 15 drawings of mine hung up. He loves them and keeps asking to keep one. Oh, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to give him half. Should I see if he'd buy like 5 to 8 drawings? Maybe, but the only thing is he might be like, "Oh, I'm not allowed to give students money," so he might not be able to. But we can see. I mean, you can try. Douglas, $10 for all of them. I mean, that's a steal. He'd probably do that. Edward, Edward, what are we talking about? Eldritch heart is a omnipresent creature. My Eldritch heart is an omnipresent creature, so we could say he is and was always present back then. It's so funny. Okay, I'm reading the comments. Okay. Goodbye, Dave. Thank you for dropping by. I hope I got to say goodbye. And I'm not like reading these comments like 30 minutes ago. Okay. And it's about to be 2:20, so we should be getting going too. Let me just put one more line in here. Let's just so it feels a little more finished. Let's put some line here and here and here. Okay. Are we ready? Are we satisfied? Are we entertained? Okay. All right, time to go. So we'll ink. I think I'll just do this like maybe off the live, and I think what I'll do is the next live will jump right into the inks um on the new page or card. Okay, Dave's still here to say goodbye. Okay. So get your final thoughts out. Anyone say your final goodbyes? Wow, my playlist is ending here. So we were on for so far like hour and 35 minutes of that. Okay, let me get my goodbye music though. Okay. Only like a 4-year-old clone too. 4-year-old clone. When you become a major comic art man, comic man, will you become Jacob Toon to seem more professional? Probably not. I don't think it has a good ring to it, and also I'd have to change up all the history and stuff like that. All the search and all the search Google and stuff like that. Like would have to catch up, and it would be too much. It doesn't also it doesn't have the same ring. Also, Graveyard Comics. There's a clear umbilical cord that you can't like detach me from there. Okay. Organize the Republic to new galactic. Reorganize the Republic to new galactic empire. All right, Palpatine. Alrighty. Okay. So I see what you're saying though. So thank you so much everyone for watching. We had a very talkative live, which I always like. The last few lives on YouTube's, I'd have moments of just quiet where I'm like, okay, I'll just wait for people to come in. But it was fun, and also I appreciate everyone who watches the videos, tunes in all the time, the people waiting for me to go live. I appreciate that. Allowing me to talk about my projects, where you can buy some of the stuff, where you can read some of the free to read stuff, the enthusiasm to my works that I've been spending years on. It means a lot to me. Okay. And thank you, the real Spider-Man. I appreciate that. and I platonically love all of you guys. Okay. I'm just reading the comments. I'm just reading the last goodbyes. Okay. And yes, Minion keeps the chat alive. So now, if we look back on those older videos, the re-uploads, those moments of silence where you can't see any chat, we'll just blame it on Minion. It's Minion's fault. All right. Goodbye, Eldritch. Okay. You probably get executed for selling Death Star plans. Alrighty. All right, guys. So, hopefully it could go live tomorrow. I think I'll do it on YouTube. And we'll be inking one of the other cards. I have a lot of work to do. I have other cards to work on. I have things to work on for Dynamite. But yeah, so Discord link in the description. Free to read comics are available. Physical books available. Obviously not free. Those are on Amazon. And yeah, so I like to end off by saying thank you for the support on my works, my videos, but also, well, the very last thing I like to turn us over to is over to you guys, your endeavors, your projects, the things that you like to do. You gave me all this attention, this whole live for like an hour and a half, all focusing on my stuff, but you have to live with yourself and you have to focus on your own interests as well. Follow your own dreams. And, I'm very grateful for all the support. And I want you to be able to feel that as well when you follow your dreams and you see people supporting your craft and your work. And, so don't give up on it. I want you to feel the way you guys make me feel. So thank you so much. Make it because it doesn't exist. Do it because you love it. Enjoy the rest of your life. The rest of your life? I fucked up my outro. Hold on. No, I do want you to enjoy the rest of your life. But I fucked up my outro. We got to run that back. Do that one more time. Make it because it doesn't exist. Do it because you love it. Enjoy the rest of your night. And good night, Spectres.